Hey, thanks for clicking on the video. It's finally time we cover a Warlock Slam build. While not reaching exactly as high of damage numbers as our Consecration Titans do, we can still have our Electric Slide go from doing this measly damage amount of 56,000 to a very hefty 180,000. And with some of the highest spammability in the game, massive super gains, and free Devour procs, this build can easily be considered one of the best. Now, before we do actually get into it, I'd like to point out that I'll be doing a non-scripted kind of live portion showcase of this build towards the end of the video for anyone wanting to see how it plays in a real environment. There's also timestamps down below and a dim link for your convenience. And if you enjoy this video and want to see more from me, a subscription would be greatly appreciated. So starting us off, we have the exotic armor piece of choice, rather than a weapon, because you don't need one specific weapon for this build to thrive. So for armor piece, we have Solipsism. Yes, it is an exotic class item, but before you get discouraged, remember you can focus class item perks at Ghost and the Pale Heart, you can buy them from Xur and get them from events. Really, they're not that bad to get anymore. But what's more is that this build revolves around primarily just one perk. You can swap out the second one for anything you like until you get your perfect roll. And with the aforementioned focusing, you can go out there and guarantee you get that perk for this build. But now, what are the perks we want on this exotic class item? The first and crux of the build comes from Spirit of Syntheseps. Any good melee build is likely going to have this, and you probably saw it coming. This perk reads, improves melee damage when you're surrounded. This, for example, when near 3 enemies, brings our base melee's damage up from 8.6k to 23,000 damage. That's a plus 165% increase. And spoiling our ability choices a bit, as if it would be a surprise at all, our Lightning Surge starts off with nothing, dealing 56,200 damage, comprised of 3 Lightning Surge hits and a Jolt proc. Then with Biotic Enhancements proc from the exotic class item, we bring that up to 140,000 damage. Now, already into the build, this is the largest jump we'll see, but there is a ton more stacking to do. And before we dive into our subclass to actually look at that, our second desirable perk is Spirit of Inmost Light. This one can be swapped out, like I mentioned earlier, but this exact perk is what's going to allow us to spam our melee much more often than without it. This perk reads, using an ability empowers the other 2 abilities, granting them improved energy regeneration. It's pretty intuitive, you just want to cycle abilities. As we can see here, our melee regen's pretty slow, but after a grenade, it goes faster, and then after a class ability, it goes much faster. And then if you deal damage with your melee, it does the same for the other 2 abilities. If anybody has used this same role or just this perk on a Titan Slam build or some other Prismatic build, you know how busted it is. But now moving away from our exotic armor, let's take a look at how we've built our subclass. Of course, we're on Prismatic, and most of this you've seen already. But for our super, I tend to always trend towards Song of Flame. With 0 investment, this super handles pretty much every enemy type and situation with ease. And it can also be used as a source of ability refund, since all of your abilities gets regened upon exiting the super. So yeah, big surprise, Song of Flame is good, we're running that here. Our class ability is going to be Phoenix Dive for the on-demand heals and shortest cooldown. Our melee is going to be Arcane Needle so that we have 3 charges to abuse rather than just 1, and our grenade is Cold Snap, mainly for dark damage as well as some synergy we'll touch on in a second. Then straight into our aspects, the main one is obviously Lightning Surge. Reading, while sliding, activate your charged melee ability to blink forward, calling down lightning strikes that jolt targets as you rematerialize. And then just recently added in this episode, targets that are hit by your lightning strikes grant you stacks of bolt charge. So I feel we don't really need to look at this in game as we've seen it a bit already, but at this point in the build, considering what we've discussed so far, we can slide up to 3 times, each dealing about 140,000 damage. These melees jolt as well, giving us pretty nice ad clear on top of the single target chunking. Now with such high damage output, things are gonna die. And this is what procs our other aspect, Feed the Void. On any ability kill, we get Devour, which causes all of our kills to full heal us and grant grenade ability energy. In game, that just means as long as things are dying, you are not. Now for our fragments, we have one that requires a showcase, and that's Courage. This fragment reads, your Arc, Solar, and Void abilities deal increased damage to targets afflicted with darkness debuffs. This is a 10% increase, and if we factor that onto our Lightning Surge by, say, unraveling our target, we now deal about 154,000 damage. And then the final active stacking that Courage is required for is when we combo that with our Cold Snap Grenade. Frozen enemies take increased melee damage and also count as being dark debuffed. This causes our melee to deal 180,000 damage. Although I should point out, this does include the shatter damage and because there's a bunch of different hits coming from the Lightning Surge melee, only one tick actually gets the Shatter bonus. So theoretically, you could take this a lot higher with something like Tractor Cannon and an external debuff like Unravel. But as far as our subclass goes, we cap out at having our Lightning Surge dealing 320% damage, which of course is nothing to scoff at. But now for the rest of the fragments to actually make this build, Fast of Balance is chosen so our Lightning Surge kills refund us some Lightning Surge energy. Fast of Dawn gives us Radiant whenever we slide around, allowing for some subsequent weapon bakes, especially against area champs. Fast of Purpose to get some super dependent survivability, in this case Restoration. And then lastly, Fast of Protection, because when in the thick of it, we want all the DR we can get. Now next on our list is weapons, with a big focus to this being on getting Transcendence. I didn't mention it while doing the subclass breakdown, but Transcendence is effectively the end goal with these kinds of builds. It allows us to bypass many cooldowns and truly wreak havoc. The method here is to try and use a dark and light weapon. My go-to loadout is Tenacious Mastery plus Lord of Wolves. Both of these build energy extremely fast. You really don't need a light elemental weapon because Lightning Surge is going to build that for you, so if you're looking for a single weapon to run, Tenacious with Chill Clip is what I'd recommend. If not that, then Lost Signal, the Stasis Area Denial Frame. The other weapons can just be whatever you need for whatever champs, and whatever heavy for whatever activity. Now for our armor, starting with stats, focus on Resilience, Recovery, then Strength, in that order. As for the mods, the helmet is going to be a double hands-on. This enables us to get massive chunks of super on kills. Arms will be triple heavy-handed. This reduces the orb gen cooldown to 1 second, giving us lots of opportunities to pick up orbs. Also helps out our team. Chest is always just for resist, depending on your activity. Legs is a stasis scavenger for our Transcendence building weapon, and an invigoration and a recuperation for melee and health on orb pickup. And then the class item is special finisher, powerful attraction, and proximity ward, so we're effectively invincible while finishing enemies. And then for this episode alone, we have the artifact. There actually isn't a whole lot going on outside of champ mods. First up is Dielectric, so jolted enemies grant stacks of bolt charge, which Lightning Surge jolts. Flashover, so our bolt charge strikes deal double damage, and then Defibrillating Blast, so we can get max bolt charge stacks when stunning champs, and so our bolt charges heal us while also jolting whatever they hit, thus feeding into themselves. Everything else is up to you. If I were to choose another to run in the final column, it would be Limit Break, so our song does a bit more damage when casting with either Radiant or Restoration, or while critically wounded. But now for the gameplay loop. Begin by trying to build some dark energy. This can be done with your kinetic slot weapon or by throwing your cold snap and then shattering everything it freezes. While you're getting started, you should still be able to pull off some lightning surges, which, while enhanced by solipsism, you'll be scoring easy kills. This will proc Devour and Spirit of Inmost to start regenerating your grenade. Throw that when you have it and try to build Dark Transcendence energy. If Lightning Surge isn't filling up the light side, Lord of Wolves or whatever your energy weapon is should handle the rest. Once you can pop Transcendence, do it. While in this mode, spam melees and deal damage with your grenade when possible to keep melee regen at max. Heals will heal you and extend Transcendence. At all points of the build, keep spamming Lightning Surge. When in a real pickle, or if you haven't done it in a while, pop Song of Flame. The super is busted, and coming out of it, you'll have your entire loop ready to go again. Remember to loop all 3 of your abilities to utilize Spirit of Inmost, and that's about it. Slide around, get Transcendence, slide some more. Now with that said, there's a dim link in the description if you want to take it and go. But if you'd like to stick around and see me use this build in a quote-unquote live cut format, we'll get into that now. That way you can see any fails, successes, just the real build. Hey, we've done it. We found the fire team. All right. Don't know these people. I have no idea how good they are. Let's see how the build does. Okay, so I did play this a little bit earlier. All the B-roll you saw was me with my usual fire team, but now we'll give you the play-by-play. Start by just actually using our weapons, build up some energy. Pretty standard. Start Devour. Unfortunately, you don't spawn in with all your energy, which kind of sucks, which I had 3 charges immediately, but we're close enough to Transcendence that we'll have it going into the next little area. Dying immediately. It happens. Take an Axion Dart, you'll probably see that more than once. But hey, this is why we're doing it, because that's real. Play too aggro, you get on. Pardon my French. Everything else works out fine. Alright, so I'm gonna try to train this Transcendence into this group of enemies, which does have an unstop. Grenade out. Okay. This guy should get stunned. Yeah, dead. Okay. So I do want to focus on building more dark. Built. Now we're just focused on light. Should have a melee up here in a second. Do I can go Transcendence again. Yeah, pretty standard. Frozen. Frozen's gonna die. Move on to the last group of enemies in this area. Okay, so these guys are pretty good. They don't die. Actually, one thing which was funny is when I was running this with G miners and llama is they would take my kills. And so some more passive play is actually a bit better for this build in a fire team scenario. Another thing to note is I've kind of been holding on to Song of Flame for a bit too long, longer than I want to. So I'll probably start in this next area standard, and then we'll move over to Song of Flame pretty quick. That way I can build up my next one. Another thing that I've mentioned earlier in the video is this really just acts as like a loop resetter. So if you ever into a pickle or need some abilities, Song of Flame comes out and boom, you have literally everything. Not to mention it's almost guaranteed to have max light transcendence on the other side of it as well. We're gonna head up here and try to focus on getting dark, which means these grenades into some Anasha's Mastery because this gun is definitely balanced. Then we'll head up here using our full kit. You know, hurts a lot up here, but with Transcendence and the DR and Devour, you can kind of handle it. Except Devour actually dropped off there. He'll be back. Another thing to make sure you're aware of is when Transcendence is ending. That way you don't go too aggro when you're about to run out of some DR and spam ability. Also, your weapons still deal damage, so keep that in mind. Up here, I know we got some more ads. I have max Transcendence, not really keen on using it right here. I don't think I need to. I do want to save Song for the big Chimera that we got to deal with. Alright, looks like they dealt with the champion. Oh no, they didn't. Okay. Now, I'll pop this. Get this guy to half health. Probably use wolves to do most of the damage, actually. Okay. The ads are up. These guys are pretty dangerous. Everybody knows how strong a Taken Wizard can be. Oh, that guy went in. I don't think he is Curious. I don't remember if he did or not. Pretty sure he doesn't. Okay. Again, like I just said a second ago, Taken Wizard. So right there, something that I can definitely point out is I ran out of biotic enhancements, which means I didn't have increased melee damage. Hopefully this guy gets Devour off of that. I am inside of a sludge pool, so I don't know if they're gonna live rezzing me. The other guy's dead. This guy is taking damage and he didn't notice. If these guys want to do it again, I'll just catch up right there. We're back here and I would like to be able to deal damage with Lord of Wolves, but I don't think we're gonna be that lucky, so we're just gonna bounce around and like a Song of Flame. Use a Mag of Lord of Wolves just for extra damage. Okay. Alright, so now we have the Thrall and shit. Really just want to make sure wizards die. Again, you might have seen right there, proximity ward is very, very good in in-game activities. Oh, double special, yes please. But right now, my loadout isn't really well suited for dealing with the Chimera, especially when I don't have super. So I'm hoping my team can kind of handle it. That Drainbane is very scary. Tenacious is a balanced weapon. Alright, they almost have him dead. There we go, nice. Good job, team. So we'll detonate this. I do have Transcendence for the next room, which I'll be using. There's a couple champions, some boss guys. Should be pretty easy to handle with Transcendence. Hopefully I can get in before the door closes. Okay. Okay, see, we were supposed to get frozen, which is bullshit. How are you not frozen yet? There we go. I don't think I have biotic enhancements. Ready to do this, and then these guys are all gonna die, or me. Thank God, Devour is a thing? I don't know if you can hear in the inflection of my voice, but I died to a Shatter? I don't know what the hell caused that. And there goes my Transcendence. I'm relatively safe to res, so this should be fine. I don't know what my abilities look like, though. Okay, just a couple. So I'll get super here. This is a lot more dangerous, but I should be fine to go in again. Yeah. I don't know how much super I got, but that was a ton. And then this guy handled, yeah. So even if you lose Transcendence, again, that was a pretty big mistake, but we're fine. Okay, these guys, freeze them. Okay. I'm gonna build Dark Transcendence energy so I can clear with full Transcendence. Alright, I have that. Now, the only issue, as people probably know, is the Thresher. Absolutely hurts. He is a menace. Overload Thresher, you know, you've seen all the memes. So I could go down there and clear ads. Yeah, I think I'm gonna do that. We're gonna clear ads with my Song of Flame. As long as the Thresher doesn't look at me too hard, I should be able to handle this pretty easily. Because I forget which enemy it is, but they will despawn the Threshers. Okay. Do some Lord of Wolves, clear last guy. And we're chilling. Nice. Okay, so now into the next area. Normally don't do this. These guys kind of get skipped. But in the normal LFE run, you're not going to get that. Deal with the Unstop, Lord of Wolves, Radiant. You know how it goes. These guys up here are a little precarious because I can't, you know, get to them without jumping, which means I can't slide. But a freeze and a shatter, and then Lord of Wolves is going to kill you. Yeah. Okay, handles that pretty easily. Again, I need Dark Transcendence Energy. Got that from a couple freezes. Pop it here. Go in. Now Radiant, you're frozen. Yeah. So again, didn't have anything to proc Devour on. That is the last enemy. My teammates should be able to handle this. That guy's in Song of Flame. Okay, there's a couple more enemies over there. But yeah, not proccing Devour will get you killed if you go too hard. This room shouldn't be too bad. It's a Tormentor. But he's CCable. And I have Lord of Wolves, so I just kind of fall over. Yeah, he's finishable as well. Okay. Free room into the next one. I'll put a freeze around this corner and I'll just slide in and reap the rewards. I'll try to build up Dark Transcendence Energy for the boss fight. Granted, probably don't really need it. And of course I have Song of Flame. Okay. Oh, forgot about these guys. So not having any Lord of Wolves ammo kind of sucks. We're gonna start with Song. We have Radiant there as well, so it procs Limit Break. And the slow from our Stasis turret, as well as the Unravel that I gave him, is giving us Courage, so it's 10% more damage. And now I'm going Transcendent. Really kind of gotta hope that the Jolt and kind of AoE attacks that Lightning Surge gives off is gonna give me Devour procs. Which it is consistently, so okay with that. Also, any bolt charges I get are gonna heal me. There's another thing to take note of. I actually got tethered there, which, you know, some people forget this boss can do. Alright, just a couple more shots. Even my teammates should be able to handle that. Yep. Pretty free. We got platinum. Easy enough. I don't know these guys. We did wipe once. Again, I died in the beginning and the guy stood on some guck, but chilling. Post resort. 12 minutes. It's not bad for this GM. Pretty good. So with that said, I'll send it back to recording Toity. Okay, and here we are at the end of the video. Thank you so much for getting this far. I'd love to know what you thought about the final section. Was it too long? Do you care about seeing that side of a build? Just let me know down below. I'd really like to understand if this was a good idea or not. Regardless, if you want to support me and support the channel, a like, a comment, a subscription goes a very long way. You can also join if you want to go the extra mile. If you want to support me and support the channel, but you can't think of a comment down below or lock slam. And with that, as usual, I hope you are having a great day, and I hope to see you around.